Sitting here listening to this gracious introduction, just feel so humbled, so honored, but really have to throw it back to you for all that you do. I mean, here you are so graciously introducing the callers and giving me that tremendous introduction as one of our Emerald directors, as our VP of Finance, wearing so many hats. I know when people call customer service, oftentimes you're going to hear Kathy's beautiful voice. So we just thank you. We honor you, Kathy, every day for all that you do. And I want to just say, welcome, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for waking up this morning to Akana. Thank you for all our leaders who have joined us. If you are brand new, we want to welcome you, and any, guests on the line, welcome you as well. The meaning of Akana means in the hands of God. In fact, our vision and our mission, we believe health, wealth, freedom, and legacy are our birthright. By offering the most life-changing products and an innovative business, we empower people to elevate to their full potential. In honor of Black History Month, of course, every day and always, we want to remember our ancestors. We have such a rich history, okay? I mean, our history, flows like a river, okay? And today we're going to talk about that overflow, the overflow, because when we think about the resilience, the hope, the abundance of our ancestors, it reminds us that every drop of our legacy builds for a brighter tomorrow. Even what we are doing right here with Akana, we are building a foundation for the future, and everything, every drop, every commitment, right? Every customer, every time you go out and work your business, guess what? You are building a better and brighter tomorrow. And so I'm going to honor just some of our ancestors real quick before we get too heavily involved in today's message. I first want to pay tribute to Harriet Tubman. In fact, when we first got started, they called us the Harriet Tubmans of the cannabis industry, because guess what, folks? We were working so hard to ensure this message got out there to the people. We know that our community paid the price for the war on drugs. We were the ones that were locked up, put away. And guess what? Now you look at every corner, right? There's these dispensaries across the country, and oftentimes they're not owned by people like us. And so we want to pay tribute to those who really were the pioneers, because it gives us that baton that we carry to continue to go out there and paint the vision and spread the word. So we thank and honor Harriet Tubman today, an abolitionist, conductor on the Underground Railroad. Frederick Douglass, another abolitionist, a writer. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., civil rights leader and activist. Rosa Parks, civil rights icon. Malcolm X, another activist, Black empowerment advocate. Sojourner Truth, abolitionist, women's rights activist, and of course, Thurgood Marshall, first African-American Supreme Court Justice. So again, we are overflowing today with the strength of our ancestors and the abundance of our dreams. We honor our past, and we light the way to a boundless future. And so again, today we're going to talk about the overflow. But before I do that, I do have a few items I want to cover. First and foremost, our Sisters in Healing. What a remarkable event. We want to thank today Tracy Finley Elliott, childhood friend of mine since kindergarten. I mean, we met in the kindergarten. She had moved actually from Chicago to Sparta, Illinois. Okay. And so she did a tremendous job in really bringing the message of helping to heal our women. She will be hosting this event monthly. So stay tuned if you want to tune into the next event. In fact, the next event happening is actually our Pisces experience. I know many of you, especially if you're Pisces, you might already know a little bit about that. But we actually have a private spa event during the day. But in the evening, I know the team is working on a party. So just know, Saturday evening on, I believe, March the 8th, somewhere around 7:30, stay tuned, because guess what? The party would be open, of course, the one that starts at 7:30, to all Akana Nation. We're going to have fun, and we're going to just celebrate. And if you are a Pisces, we definitely want to see you show up and show out. But it is really open to everyone. So we're going to have a good time. But there is a private spa event during the day, just so you know. Also, to May 15th through the 18th, if you've not booked your airline tickets, what are you waiting for? If you have qualified for that trip, go out there and start getting those airline tickets secured. I did receive flight confirmations from many of you, which is awesome. We want you to send that to support@akana.com so that we can make sure we know when you're getting in town, so we can ensure we accommodate you and get you to our beautiful, 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 phenomenal, I can call them mini mansions, I guess, right? So we're going to have a ball in Florida. I cannot wait. I know many of you are just super excited. You got your bags packed. Speaking of bags packed, I also want to jump into what's going on this month. This is double CV. Do you understand what that means? Okay. And so we're going to be celebrating those of you who hit your CV this month in a way you've never seen. Okay. Because not only are you going to receive, of course, so much recognition, but I'm excited about the double points and the double things that you're going to get. And so basically, it's kind of like if you've ever wanted to go big in Akana, this is the time to go big, okay? Because some of you are going to end up at platinum. There's some of you already that just because of the double CV, you're almost at gold, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and brag on some of y'all because y'all are getting it done. In fact, every name I'm calling right now today, these are the people that because of the double CV, they're going to be hitting gold probably by the end of the day, okay? So for those of you who might have already qualified, and you got your 500 CV, great. But this is the month you want to do it, okay? And you want to really put yourself in a position where you can earn not just some extra income. I mean, who can use some extra money right now, okay? But also, too, this is all pushing points towards your Bermuda. Did you forget about Bermuda? We had the trip for 2025 here, in the United States, but we are going back out of the country to the fabulous island of Bermuda. And I want everyone who's within the sound of my voice, right, to know that you matter and you should be there with us. We want you there, okay? And so there's actually just a couple more months to qualify. Some of you got out the gate hard. In November, you hit it. Then some of you missed it in December and January. So if you missed December and January and you're ready to get yourself back on track for Bermuda, you do not want this month to close out without you being at least 500, because that's going to push you all the way to silver, okay? And so you're going to want to make sure you take advantage of that. I mean, this is a promotion unlike any other promotion we've ever done, and this is not the month for you to miss your CV, okay? And so I know Team Contagious has been out there, going crazy with it, so we're super excited, but we're also excited for those of you, again, who are such a sneeze away from hitting that gold. So Crystal Robinson, Bernadine Kirkland, Kenneth Elam, I know just based on what I'm seeing from you three, you're going to go not only gold, but some of you might just take it to platinum, because this is the month. If you've ever wanted platinum, this is your month to do it. But it starts with you getting those 500 points, okay? And here's what's also exciting, guys. This month already, as of today, do you know we have actually already beat out our numbers in January, okay? And that's exciting because when you think about it, January last month had 3 more days than this month. Here we are in the shortest month of the year, and we're already experiencing overflow. We're already experiencing growth. We're experiencing those numbers, right, that really get things pushing and moving forward in such an exciting and explosive way, because we're seeing pockets of momentum within different teams. And so if you don't have momentum right now, you want to start plugging into the momentum, plugging into the teams that are on fire right now, because some of our teams are on fire. And I'm telling you what, we're going to see a record number of people qualifying at CV, and I'm going to be reading the whole list out. See, there's some of you, I'm already looking at you, you're at 250, but in order for you to qualify for this, you got to get to 500, right? You got to get to 500 points so that you can be a part of our double CV qualifiers. And so we're going to be watching these numbers closely. But once you get to 500, guess what? Boom, you're automatically doubled. So isn't that amazing? Okay, so if you've ever wanted to rank up, this is your season, this is your day, this is your moment to do that so that you can be a part of our explosive amount of celebration we're going to be doing over the beginning of the month. And we don't want to miss your face, because we're going to show up and show out for you like never before. So let's go ahead and get it. Speaking of getting it, in March, there's a lot of exciting classes that are back on the schedule. So if you've been interested in scoping those scalps and being a part of the healing hair journey with our phenomenal trichologist, Doris Mosley, you want to jump on the call today. I know last Monday with some technical things going on, call didn't happen. until late, but it happened, okay? But today they will have a call, okay? And you want to make sure you get on there because they're going to talk about the scope certification process that's going to happen on March 17th. So there will be a class on that day. March the 17th, our wellness certification is back, okay? So we're super excited. So mark your calendar. We're going to have our wellness coach certification. And so again, just a lot of great things in our future. And so I'm going to now get into my message for today. Now, I had a couple messages on my mind. And so one of them, I said, I'm going to have to push it out because I really wanted to talk to you today about overflow, right? Overflow, working from overflow versus working from an empty cup, okay? And so I read a quote from Terrence Howard. He had shared it, I guess, on social media. And it went something like this. I don't have it exactly, but he said something like, for every successful person you see, right? Sometimes you see successful people. They could be mega stars. They could be mega pastors, right? They could be actors, actresses, artists, musicians. But for every person you see, where they're in that successful period of their life, you know, there's a season in which you did not see. I'm going to say that again. There's a season in which you did not see. And see, and that's kind of what they call the true Hollywood story. Sometimes you see those stories later. When they finally write the book, they write the movie, and then you say, wow, I didn't know Tyler Perry was homeless. I didn't know he went through all that rejection. And so I really wanted to talk about that today, but I said, you know what, that's going to be another day. Okay. So just know that in a couple of weeks, we're going to do a call on Monday that's going to be called Embracing Your Unseen Season. Okay, that's the season, again, which people might not know about it publicly, right? Maybe only a very few people know about that season, right? So how do you embrace when you're in that season of struggle, when you're in that season when it looks like nothing's going your way, when finances are down and you're just wondering when your break is coming? Well, guess what? Stay tuned. But today, I really wanted to get on this particular message because I've had this for a while, but I said, you know what? I always got to figure out when God's trying to tell me the time to deliver it. And I really feel like the time is now for this. But it's a message about overflow, the power of overflow. And so to get to overflow, we have to do what? We have to feel. And so many times we're pouring without any feeling. So how can we really pour into people if our own cup is empty? And so I'm going to ask you for a moment, how are you feeling in this season? How are you feeling in this moment? How are you feeling in this very day? Is your cup full? Is it full? Is it overflowing? Or do you have just so much to give, right? So much knowledge, personal development, money. You're just so good right now. Is it half full? Perhaps it's empty. So are you getting the rest? Are you getting the nourishment? Who's feeding into you? Okay. Who's pouring into you? The knowledge, right? The personal development and the love you need to really feel that you're at peace. And so my question is, are you pouring from an empty cup? I want you to think about this for a second, because sometimes they tell us as women, there's a new diagnosis for us. It's called women's ADHD, right? Where you do 10 things at once, okay? You look at your computer, you got 100 browsers open. You just kind of never seem to complete one thing, but you're doing so many things at the same time. You're trying to what we call do it all. And so I'm going to let that marinate for a second, because sometimes they call us, we can either be like spaghetti or we can be like an octopus, right? All these arms stretched everywhere, whether you're trying to, pour into family, your business, your community, and you just kind of feel like, wow, who's pouring into me? And men on the line, I'm not going to just talk to the women. I want to talk to you too, because we see you working hard. We see you working to provide, even when life is beating you down, okay? Hold it down. But what happens when we pour so much into everyone else that we leave ourselves empty? See, when you continue to give from an empty cup, what it's doing is depleting your own resources. I want you to think about this for a second. This is when we get to that exhaustion, right? Because what that means is you're running on fumes, right? You see a car and it's almost out of gas, and all of a sudden you start seeing smoke come out. I mean, do you ever feel like that? You walk out your house and you're like, I don't know if I could make it another day. I went to a pajama party, okay, at a women's church it was not really a sleepover. It was a lock-in. We did it till like almost midnight. But the pastor, she said, some of us are so used to operating from an empty cup, so used to operating on empty, we'll walk right out of our house, feeling exhausted, feeling depleted, broke down on one leg, and still hopping out the door because you can't stop. There's so much to do. There's so many people to help. You just can't find enough time in the day, okay? But here's the truth. The truth is, how are you able to pour into anyone if you're operating out of an empty cup? See, if we're not replenishing ourselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually, that means we get to the point there is nothing left to give. And if there's nothing left to give, guess what you show up in most people's life like, okay? And so there's a scripture I'm going to read and share with you, because she had shared this scripture at that party, and it just hit me in my soul. I mean, it was like so deep. It was so deep. And it's a scripture we're all familiar with, but sometimes we have to listen to something again, but now apply it to your own life. See, sometimes we can hear and the pastor's preaching, or maybe you're at a motivational sermon and you're hearing about so many different people, but now I want you to take this scripture and I want you to apply it to your own life. So I'm going to start off with Psalms 23:5. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. So let's think about this. Overflow. What is overflow? We can talk about it. We can say our cup is overflowing, but overflow is really the radiant state of abundance, okay, where your inner resources. I'm not talking about just outer. I'm not talking about just the money in your bank. I'm not talking about the house you live in, the car you drive, but it's the inner part of you. The inner part of your love, your joy, your hope, your wisdom are so plentiful that they naturally spill over, and they're enriching every aspect of your life and every person around you. It's kind of like when you think about a cup and you filled it up and it's brimming to the top, okay? And every drop of blessing flows out of that cup. And so just imagine when you're in a position where you're inspiring others and you're igniting this chain reaction of positivity rather than holding back. See, overflow reminds us to live fully, to share generously, knowing that when we're abundant, we're going to uplift the world around us. And so how many of you on the line want to get into your season of overflow, your season of where you feel good, you feel rested, you feel like you have all those things that are inner and not just what people see outer. See, there's many people that are super rich, and guess what? They're emotionally broke, okay? They're bankrupt on the inside, okay? We see it happen every single day. Think about some of the greatest artists in the world who've taken the biggest falls, because guess what? We have to be full and have the inner, not just the outer, not just what they see on the exterior. And so I'm going to say this, though. Here's what I'm excited about, where we're at in this moment. As I mentioned, when we look at January numbers, and we have 3 less days in this month, we have 4 more days to the end of the month. And already we're witnessing the season and the start of the overflow, okay? We're now focusing on helping people come with us to Bermuda. We have dozens of you who've already qualified for Florida. As of today, again, we beat out our entire January, and we still have 4 days left, okay? I mean, I'm really 5 days when you count today. I mean, all the way through Friday. I mean, that's 5 whole days. And so this is an exciting time for you to be a part of it. But let's talk about how do we get to the season of overflow? Because just understand, even when I think about our business, we've been through a lot. We've had a lot of things around us that happen, but we also understand that God doesn't want us drained and depleted. He wants our cups to overflow. And so what happens when we allow our cup to be filled, right? We allow our cup to be nourished. And so there's 3 ways to fill your cup daily. And first, you have to really prioritize your spiritual refill. Okay, so that's number 1. Prioritize your spiritual refill. So how are you starting your morning? See, when you get on the morning calls, that's a great way for you to start to fill your cup with positive inspiration and knowledge. Are you starting each morning with prayer, with worship, scripture, meditation, deep breaths? What is your morning mantra? What are you doing repeatedly every single day to ensure that you are pouring into your own cup? Number two, protecting your energy. Being mindful of who and what is draining you. If you start looking and say, wow, my cup is empty, and you start paying attention to what's causing that cup to be emptied out, you have to do what? Set boundaries so that you can keep and protect your peace. Number three, are you investing in you? What are you doing to invest in you, to ensure that your cup is being refilled, to be ensure that your cup is overrunning? Are you taking time out for self-care, whether it's a walk, a good, healthy, home-cooked meal, not that processed garbage we know is killing our community that we tend to go back running to because we're too busy, we're too stressed to cook, and so we have to go buy processed food? Okay, so when's the last time you just took the time to make you and your family a good meal? Maybe a massage or just simply breathing deeply. So what's our takeaway? Our takeaway is a full cup will overflow effortlessly. And that shows up when you're doing what? When you're taking care of you. Your abundance will start to bless others without draining you. So you see how that works? See, you can give more to others when you give more to yourself. So I want you to give yourself permission to receive today before you give. Because until you learn to receive, until you learn to put the oxygen on you, because what do they tell us? You put the oxygen on you first, then you can put it on someone else. Before you can give, you have to first make sure, again, your cup is full. And so your affirmation today is, I am worthy. We have to first understand that we're worthy. We're worthy of rest. We're worthy of renewal. We're worthy of abundance. You have to say, I am worthy of rest, renewal, and abundance. I fill my cup so I can serve from a place of overflow. And so that's your affirmation. I'm going to say it again. I am worthy of rest, renewal, and abundance. I fill my cup so I can serve from a place of overflow. And so let's commit to showing up full today. So I want you after this call to do something to pour into your cup. And I want you, whether you're showing up on social media, whether you're showing up for your family, wherever you're showing up, I want you to make a commitment that you're going to show up full today. And that's what I love about when we do these events like the Sisters in Healing. There was a woman there, and she had lost her husband. She had lost a child. She had lost so much. And she really came feeling just not at peace, okay? Not at peace. And so she left the event, very excited about what she experienced. And one of the things that she talked about was the very next day after the event, she went to Starbucks. And she sat at Starbucks for 3 hours by herself. And she said that never happened. She says, I've not found peace alone since my husband died, since one of her children died. She hadn't found peace at home, right? She hadn't found peace being alone. And she said, since I went to that event, she says, I was able to sit at Starbucks for 3 hours, drinking my cup of coffee and feeling at peace, doing it with a smile, feeling full. See, she was able to show up for her because guess what? She did something the day before that poured into her, that filled her cup up, had people there waiting on her hand and foot, doing meditation, positive affirmations, getting massages. And before she left, she had what she needed to finally show up for herself, which now allows her to show up for her family. So we can't show up for our family if we're feeling depleted. And so I'm going to now break down the entire verse, from Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And so I look at that in a modern application, right? Thinking of God as your life coach, right? Your protector and provider in a world full of hustle, culture, comparison traps. I mean, you're on social media, you see people living a life, you're like, wow, I wish I could live that life, right? And you don't really know the true Hollywood story, but it just reminds us that we don't have to constantly, strive, or live in lack, right? We don't have to constantly try to compare ourselves, right? Here's the thing, God's got us covered. So there's no need to stress when we know that our shepherd is leading the way. And so your takeaway is trust that everything you need, your strength, your peace, and provision is already in motion. See, God knows what you need before you even ask. So number 2, let's talk about verse 2. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. And so when I think about that in modern application, see, we have a fast-paced life, but God's calling us to do what? To slow down, to rest. Modern women, right? Men too, right? We're just juggling so many roles. Father, okay, mother, entrepreneur, partner, sister, brother, friend, uncle, aunt, grandma, grandpa. And so we're forgetting to recharge. But if he's leading us to green pastures, places of peace and nourishment, but we've got to allow that, okay? We're resisting the green pastures. And so the takeaway is, guess what? Whatever you're doing, that's causing you to be depleted, and sometimes it could be our own business, right? It's about balance. See, we have to sometimes pause and let God restore us. See, self-care, it's sacred. It's something we can't take for granted. Sometimes it becomes a cliche. You hear everybody talk about self-care. We said self-care is the new health-care. But when is truly the last time you took care of you? And so let's look at verse 3. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And so what does that mean? When life leaves you drained, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, guess who offers restoration? Okay, our Creator. He brings clarity, healing, and direction, even when we feel the most lost. Because the path he's provided leads us to purpose, alignment, not chaos and confusion. And so our takeaway is let him restore what life has taken, whether it's your joy, your money, your time, your health, your confidence, and your peace. I think one of the most dangerous things that so many people have sacrificed is peace, because without peace, everything else around you falls apart. So we have to protect our peace. Verse 4, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And so how do we apply that in modern life? The valley of the shadow of death might be those moments of heartbreak, betrayal, financial struggles, health challenges. We've all been there. But here's the promise. God is with you every step. He provides protection and guidance even when we're in our darkest of days. His rod corrects and his staff directs. And so our takeaway is, even in your lowest moments, you are never alone. Fear has no power where God's presence dwells. Verse number 5. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. How do we apply that in today's world? Your enemies could be your haters, your critics, or even self-doubt. But notice what God does. He prepares a table right in front of your enemies. It's a public declaration that no weapon formed against you will prosper. And not only that, but he anoints you and causes your cup to overflow. So our takeaway, your blessings will be visible, undeniable, and unstoppable as long as we do what? We stay aligned with God's purpose, right? And allow, we let your overflow speak for itself. So don't worry about the haters. God's got that. Verse number 6. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So how do we apply that? God's promise is not temporary. Goodness and mercy are assigned to your life like personal bodyguards, following you wherever you go. Even when things go wrong, they're working for your good. His presence is your permanent dwelling. And so our takeaway is, no matter what life throws at you, God's goodness is chasing you down. Walk with confidence, knowing that mercy is always at your back. And so some of the final thoughts is, in this season, while we're pushing, while we're growing, while we're doing things and building our CV, while we're building our business, while we're working with our family, we still have to take time to do what? To rest, for personal development, Make sure you're choosing books and watching shows that are documentaries, things that can pour back into you, not just things that cause us more stress, more anxiety. We have to grow our money in passive ways. We have to have businesses that work for us even while we're sleeping. And that's the beauty of a business like this, network marketing, because you can be in a position where some of our folks, guess what? They've not shown up for months. But guess what? There's still money being made every single month. Isn't that powerful? See, once you restore and properly invest your time, you will walk into your season of overflow. Life will test you, because that's what happens, okay? Enemies will rise. Understand that. But you've already won. Stay rooted in his promises. Keep refilling your cup and watch how your life transforms. And so I am super excited right now, more encouraged than ever, as we look at the numbers that are flowing through our business, as we look at the fact that we are superseding, January on the 24th day of February, right, with 4 to 5 days left, however you want to look at it, right? Just know that Akana, we are walking into a season of overflow, and we want you to be there with us every step of the way. And so with that being said, I want to remind everyone to jump on our Save Our Strands call at 2:30 p.m. Central. We have our Diamond Factory happening tomorrow. Again, I say this now every call. The 2025 vision for Akana is clear. Health, wealth, freedom, and legacy for every person we touch. Because what are we doing? We're moving forward together. We are not looking back. And I want each and every one of you to have an Akana day. We're going to see you at the top, the very top, the tip top.